I'm Riley from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a detailed look at the Gregory Resin 26, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks now. You can head on over to packhacker.com for the full written review, link in the description below, and let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so something I want to note just right off the bat, you can probably see here when this bag is not fully packed, you can see it now kind of sinking. Because of its lack of structure, it kind of like collapses in on itself. It just kind of makes it look like this, almost a full circle, which is not like a big deal. Obviously when we're, going somewhere, we typically have more in here, especially if we have like packing cubes and stuff on the inside to keep it more structured, but the bag itself doesn't have much built-in structure, so it gets a little bit kind of odd looking when you don't have stuff in here and it's just kind of like sitting on the ground. It's not, and even when you're just kind of leaning it up, it's not, so bad, but when it's just kind of flat like this, it gives it like a very odd look, which is just something to note, but wanted to point that out right off the bat because you could kind of visually see it start to sink in the way it was doing. So moving on, the material for this bag is a combination of polyester and nylon. So all of them are recycled, which is great. We definitely like to see a more sustainable approach when possible. And then this front panel here has a weather resistant coating, so you can see it's much smoother than the surrounding material. It kind of has like an interesting grid pattern, which is a nice addition, I think. And then similar to, you kind of have like a grid-like pattern of fabric on the bottom as well. And it's held up pretty well during testing. We really only have like one piece of aesthetic damage, and it's just kind of this little stain right here, but other than that, no tears or scuffs or anything like that, other than that one mark. So let's say it's been holding up pretty well so far. You can see this is very unstructured, so it's difficult kind of to go over it without a whole bunch of stuff in here, but all right, so then we'll flip it over, talk a little bit about this harness system where I think this bag really excels. So as you can see here on the back panel, there's mesh that pretty much covers the entire thing. Sometimes bags just kind of have like a smaller panel here and a panel here, and then sometimes a panel here, but this stretches all the way down and it covers really the entire area of your back that the bag sits against. And then if you can also tell, this back panel is curved here at the bottom, so it better like flexes to your back, which we found to be pretty comfortable. It's not just kind of like flat where it feels like it's pulling away from the back with like that hover back phenomenon that we've experienced. So that's great. There's also an air channel, built-in air channel right here too, which is also lined with mesh. So very breathable bag. Haven't had much issues with sweat even on a warmer day, which is nice. That same mesh is on the shoulder straps. As for like the padding on the shoulder straps, there's a little bit, as you can see. It's not very cushy, it's more stiff, but we found it to be, well structured and supportive despite that. It still felt nice while we were testing and felt comfortable, didn't have like the feeling of, oh, I need to take this bag off right now, even after wearing it a short period of time, which was great. And then you do also have this sternum strap, which you don't have an elastic keeper, so this is gonna dangle a little bit if you have to like max out its adjustment, and that's kind of annoying, but you can always like incorporate your own strap keepers if you have them. Like Tom Bin sells them separately, so you can get those and that'll mitigate that. Same thing here on the shoulder straps, so as you can see, this is a fair amount of strap to be dangling around on your bag on both sides. So if you prefer a more cleaner look and you just don't want to deal with that, then incorporating your own strap keepers, like elastic keepers if possible, I would recommend. But the SRAM strap in general has been working fine and just kind of adds that extra stability. I personally didn't get a whole bunch of testing out of it just because I didn't feel it was absolutely necessary, since this bag only holds about 26 liters. But it's also attached on this rail system, which is a little bit stiff. After you've adjusted this a few times, it gets a little better, but as you can see still here, it's a little bit stiff. It feels securely attached though, so that's kind of a trade-off. It definitely doesn't feel like it's ever going to fall off and we're going to lose the strap or anything like that, but it can be a little bit, takes a little bit longer to adjust up and down. But as long as you have this thing kind of set to your preferences, it's unlikely that you'll be adjusting it up and down a whole bunch of times. So not a huge deal for us. Of course, your mileage may vary. So yeah, overall, just comfortable harness system. Definitely enough for a bag of this size, which is awesome. And then you kind of have these attachment points up here as well on the shoulder straps if you'd like to clip a carabiner there, so that way you have one close by whenever you need it. So now we'll talk a little bit about the pockets. So just kind of starting on this side, you have a pretty large water bottle pocket, and it secures with some elastic on the side, so it's stretchy. It can accommodate, you know, larger bottles. Like we've been able to fit the, you know, Yeti Rambler 18 ounce in here just fine, but you can definitely opt for a bigger size too as well. And we haven't had any issues with the bottle falling out or anything, but it doesn't secure with any elastic around the top. So that's just something to keep in mind. You'll just still want to be careful when you're like bending over, just because it could fall out, especially if you're carrying like a smaller bottle. There is a possibility that it falls out when the bag gets overturned. So again, it hasn't happened to us during testing, but definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you're carrying a water bottle with you all the time. And then on the other side here, you have another pocket, it's a larger pocket. And in here, it's got a very bright, like technical looking green liner, which kind of matches the color that's on these pulls as well as on the zippers here. So really easy to find everything that you're looking for in here. There's also a key clip, which this is kind of an interesting spot to keep a key clip, just because a lot of times brands will keep them like in a quick grab pocket on the top or maybe even on the front. But when it's on the side like this, then you can unzip this pocket, pull it out, and then it's kind of like a more natural motion because you're kind of just grabbing it from your side and unlocking the door like you normally would if you were pulling this out of your pocket. So clip is just kind of basic plastic key clip. It's worked fine. Our keys haven't fallen off or anything. The leash itself is pretty lengthy, so it's fairly easy to like get to the door or mailbox or car that we're unlocking, which is great. So definitely think this was a thoughtful integration in this pocket. And then with the rest of the space in here, you can keep, you know, your phone in here or any other like quick grab items, your wallet too. And the zipper sits a little bit closer to the back, so it's more secure than if it were just on the front. Just because when you have your back turned, it's harder to tell if someone's, like a pickpocket is getting in here than if it's on your side. And then back to the front here, two more attachment points on the bottom as well. So if you have any other accessories besides carabiner clips, you can put those here. Maybe even like a bike light for added visibility if you're out particularly late or early in the morning. And then it's also another quick grab pocket on here, which, as you can see, the zipper is covered by a fabric welt, so you can hardly see it, which is nice, clean. It's a clean look. And then you have these zipper pulls on each of the zippers, these YKK zippers, which are super easy to pull, comfortable in hand. They're nice and soft and like rubbery, which is nice. So you open up this quick grab pocket and you have that same bright green liner in here, which is nice for visibility. And then we've just kind of been keeping like a small notebook in here for when we need to jot stuff down while we're on the go, and then just a pair of Apple AirPods as well. But you can keep, like I said, really the same stuff that you would keep in here or other stuff, snacks, and you know, you could keep like your passport in this one, so that way you have room to put like a wallet in this one. But they're both, I mean, you get quite a bit of space with this one, and then you just get some additional storage in here as well. So as far as quick grab pockets go, you have quite a bit of space to store all your frequently used items, which is great. It's something you definitely want to take advantage of just because you don't want to have to go in and out of this pack a whole bunch of times for stuff that you're constantly using throughout the day. But so now we'll get into this main compartment, which you can tell here, there's this like front panel. This part of the front panel actually has kind of like an opening here that you can slide your hand into, and there's a actual mesh lining over here, which is nice. It keeps your hand nice and cool, but you can kind of hold the bag from this handle. I'll turn it around, and then unzip the compartment, this one or the laptop compartment, and then just kind of fold it back and then grab stuff out with the other hand, which is nice. This kind of helps with the fact that it's not like it doesn't have like a super wide opening. It doesn't open fully clamshell. And even in this horseshoe zip, it's pretty small. It only goes about like less than half of the bag. So this is kind of nice because you can flip it open and then just kind of get easy access to everything inside. So definitely another thoughtful integration. Not one that we always see on bags either, which is great. So in this compartment, you don't have a ton of organization. It's really just one big dump pocket basically, but you do have 3 pen sleeves here against the wall, the back wall, which we've been keeping, just 2 pens, and then this one empty, but you can put like a stylus or marker or whatever the case may be in there. Just take full advantage of the 3. And then you have a zipper pocket here as well, which is relatively small. We've just been keeping the last swab beauty in here because it's small enough, as well as the Matador Pocket Blanket 2.0, which is like honestly a perfect fit really. So things this size and smaller will fit well in here. So you can keep like smaller cables, smaller tech accessories in this pocket, but there's not a whole bunch of other organization that's gonna really well organize your tech gear. So if you are carrying a lot of tech every day, I would recommend incorporating your own tech pouch, just because you're not gonna get a whole bunch of segmentation and compartmentalization in this pocket. And then we've just been keeping a hoodie in this free space as well, but you're more than welcome to pack this out with packing cubes. I mean, you have really a ton of room in here, and it's really easy to reach in and grab stuff, which is great. So I recommend, if you're looking for that extra organization, segmentation, definitely packing cubes are going to help you out here because there's not a lot of organization actually built into the bag. Yeah, and then there's just some branding here against the wall, which explains that the recycled materials of the bag and really just the overall sustainable approach to creating the bag reduces the carbon footprint that would be produced by a normal like nylon pack. So again, we love to see that brands are taking a more sustainable approach. I'm sure the planet is happy, just as happy as we are. Branding wise, you do have a Gregory logo here, which kind of looks like a mountain, this kind of like geometric figure or shape here, but it's kind of like a lime green color, which stands out a little bit more on this pack. It definitely is on theme with the pack, so it hasn't been, like, it's not an eyesore or anything like that, but if you prefer more subtle branding, like what you would see on an Air pack, for example, you might not be the biggest fan of this, but we haven't found it to be like a huge issue. And then we're going to talk about this laptop compartment. Also, while we're up here, there is a quick grab handle here too as well. So as you can see, it lies pretty flat to the bag, so it's a cleaner look, but it makes it a little bit more difficult to grab instead of one that's kind of structured and has all that open space where you can just reach in. But it works well enough for grabbing the bag. You know, you kind of have this to do that as well, but if you're just kind of moving it from place to place, picking it up, this is the one you're going to want to use, I would say. And then you also have the laptop compartment in here. As you can see, it's separated into these 2 sleeves. So we've been keeping a laptop in here, which it can fit up to a 15-inch laptop. And then there's also a shallower sleeve on the side, which you can put a tablet in, and that is suspended. So You're protected against any accidental drops or when the bag is getting shuffled around and your tech is inside getting a shuffle around with it. And then as far as the false bottom goes, there is a little bit of, I mean, I can pretty much feel the outline of my finger, so it's nothing crazy. I've been personally testing in a protective case. I would recommend you do the same just because it's not an ample difference. It's a little bit different with this tablet sleeve because it doesn't go down all the way to the bottom, but this laptop sleeve does. So if you're particularly clumsy or you're just, really want to keep your tech protected, that protective sleeve might be one integration that you want to consider keeping your tech in while you're using this bag. Yeah, overall, this bag has been working nicely. It's been very comfortable to wear. It's held up relatively well durability-wise. It does come in a 24 as well as a 30-liter version if you're looking for more or less gear capacity. Like, this is kind of an in-between size, which has worked well for us. We have enough room for everything we need on the everyday, but then we also have space if we need to take it on like an overnight trip, for example, even like a 2-day trip, like a weekend trip. There's enough space in here as long as we're packing, relatively minimally. So there you have it. That is the Gregory Resin 26. You can check out packhacker.com for more information and the best buying options that help support the channel at no additional cost to you. Link down below, and we'll see you in the next video.